Now you like if it's this is I know your computer is super slow or something or it's stalling, you can use your project from last week. That's fine. Okay, so here again, just to remind you, we have our kind of our scene. Right now, there's like nothing really much happening in there. Um, uh, I'm gonna add a sphere now. This is kind of what we did last week. So 3D object sphere. So now we have our sphere. Uh, I'm also kind of going to kind of left click here on this game uh, view. So to remind you, game view is basically what we are seeing from when we actually start the game. Because Unity is all about creating games or applications. So if I click play, I'm going to see this sphere. Okay. If I click play again, then I'm back to my kind of bird's eye God's view. So let me drag game here so it's kind of easier to see. Okay. So now just to be on the same page as last week, I'm going to create like a folder. I'm going to right click here under assets and create a folder called scripts. So all I'm doing now is just bringing us to the same level as or stopping point of what we did like last week. And under scripts, I'm gonna create a script. Okay, let's call this click for now. It doesn't matter how you call it. We can call it other names later. Okay. So so I'm gonna wait a little bit while you're all on the same page. But while I'm doing it, I'm gonna just go over what we see here. So here, this is our kind of our main kind of display. So on our left here, we see all our objects in our game or application. Right now, we have 3 objects. We have a camera, a light, and a sphere. So I can add new objects. I can add like planes, whatever. I can do. I can. And then if I add them, it will show up here on this inspector sample C kind of site. So if I click on each object, you can notice the right-hand side there kind of changing. Okay, so here, if I click on main camera, this whole thing will change. And if I click on directional light, this will change. And sphere, it will change. So this will basically show us whatever the specific parameters of that game object is. So Unity, and this is a very important point, Unity works with game objects. So it doesn't know anything about anything else. So to do anything with Unity, you need a game object. It doesn't have to be like an actual physical game object, but has to be something in the scene. You can also create later on, I'll show you how you can create like empty game objects. Basically, they're game objects that don't have a physical presence in the scene, but you can use them to do stuff. Okay. Questions? Yeah.
Can you show again what script you made under scripts?
I just right click here and did create and C# script.
Okay.
Yeah. Some of you, if you have Unity 6, I think it will be called monoscript. Again, for this class, right now, I don't know why, but Unity 6 did a lot of changes and not super recommended. So that may bother you later on in this class. So it's better to install like Unity 2020, 21, 22, 2019, something like that. Again, just because in Unity 6 they have some different names, and also they have some issues with running things. It's not so kind of well hooked in together. Other questions? Okay. So again, like if you click on this sphere here, you can change its position just by typing the numbers here. So everything starts at 0, 0, 0. X, Y, Z, 0. That means it's in the center of the universe, of this virtual universe. But you can move it around, easily either like here, or you can actually move it around here in this scene view. So if I click here, you can see here I have a couple of different kind of controls. So this second control, and if you kind of just put your mouse over it, it says move tool. So you can move, you can actually kind of manually move your sphere here with this move tool. So if I had like say, let's add like something that's not a sphere, 3D object cube. Okay. If I have a cube, okay, I can actually rotate the cube, and then you will see like a different kind of side of the cube here on the game view. You can rotate it on 3 different axes. You can rotate it like this, or like this, or like that, and so on. And this is just using the third option here, which is called the rotate tool. You can also scale things here, like there's like, this is a scale tool, and so on. So you can scale it like this way, or this way, or this way, okay? And this is, yeah, we can stop with this right here. Okay, so, okay, let's go into our script. Double click on this. And if when you're double clicking on this, it will open Visual Studio. Okay. Right now I don't have anything. So here, like, what's happening is, so I have my, this is like a blueprint, the starting code that most game objects will have. So I have like my class, which is called click. That's basically the name of the script. And I also have start and update. So you can see start, there's like a comment up there in green, says start is always called before the first update. And update is also always called once per frame. So let's add debug log hello. Okay. So I'm adding this, saving it, like I can save it with, say, save here. And now, like, this is basically where we join where we stopped last week. I'm just gonna drag this click script to my sphere. Okay? So again, what I did, I just drag this over here. And if I click play, you should see hello world. Okay, with that said, I'm just gonna walk over you to see we're all on the same page. A good portion of you still haven't got Unity kind of working, but that's on you, right, to get it to work. So I'm gonna record this so you can like observe it later at home. And for those who are working, you can just pair up with someone who has a Unity working and just kind of see what they're doing in the meantime. Okay. Okay, so let's return this. So what I want to do now, I want to create a new function called onMouseDown. Okay, so basically you just type private void onMouseDown, and that will kind of get you this function, okay? And then in there, I'm just gonna type debug log. Let's call this sphere clicked, okay? So what this function will do, it will tell us when I'm clicking on my sphere. Again, very important to save your script. Let's don't know why it disappeared. I showed you a different script. Let me just type that again. Void mouse on mouse down debug log sphere clicked. Okay, and save. Okay, so what happens now after I create the script, which still prints hello world here, if I click on the sphere, it will show me like sphere clicked here, a sphere clicked message. Okay? If I click on any other thing, it will ignore that. It will not do any kind of. And also notice, like, as I'm moving my mouse, it only, let me maybe move this a little bit here so you can see it a bit better. As I'm moving my mouse, so if I click things like this here in this view, this scene view, it doesn't care about any clicks, even if I click on the sphere. It only cares about the game view. So as I'm clicking here, you can see this number running up, like 20, 21, 22, 22, and so on. So basically what's happening, it's detecting if only if I'm clicking on the sphere, okay? How many have gotten to this point, by the way? Again, the code for this is pretty easy, just on mouse down, sphere clicked. Now, what we can do, let's click on play here. That's not the code I wanted. Yeah. If input mouse, get mouse button down 0. Okay, so I'm just gonna put this code, new code here. I'm just adding an if statement. Like, you can add it without even knowing what it means. I'm gonna explain it in a second. So you can also hover with your mouse over this and it will tell you what it does. So you don't have to wait for your instructor to tell you. You can just look it up yourself. So right now it says it returns true during the frame the user pressed the given mouse button. So this function basically will evaluate to be true if button 0 is clicked. So what is button 0 of the mouse? Well, again, remember you can have like a real physical mouse. So 0 is like a left click. 1 I think is a right click, and 2 is middle, like a wheel or middle click. Okay. So so what I did now is I'm gonna have this print sphere clicked only if I'm left clicking on the mouse. So usually, like, left click is kind of like with one so it will work anyway. But to right click, you need. I know how it works on your machines. Some people have like other buttons and so on. But on a Mac, it's like just two finger kind of tapping, and you can see it will not do anything usually, most of the time. Okay. Okay, going back to the first class, there's an interesting point here. We're kind of still in game mode. So in game mode, I can create new things, new objects. Like, I can create this gigantic capsule. Let's make it gigantic. Like that, like a big UFO or something. Okay, I can do all these kind of crazy things. And I can also actually move my sphere here, like just moving the sphere around, some sort of thing like this. And like, I'm like, okay, like, whatever, I was smoking something, I was not paying attention, and like now how do I get out of this? I'm afraid, right? I want to go back. So don't worry, because you're in game mode, you can always click play, and it will revert back to where you were before. So game mode is like a beautiful thing where you can like just kind of experiment with things, and it will just revert it back to where it was before you entered game mode. Any questions so far? Okay, so far all of you should have a code that looks like this, or something like this, and like a sphere that kind of prints sphere clicked when you click on it. Okay. Okay, let's do something else that's fun. So let's just say let's just use this something like that. If get mouse button 1, so that it's like a different mouse button. Let's do this. I'm going to say what this means. So this basically refers to this current object. Okay? So remember this script here, this script, I dragged it into the sphere. So when I type here this, that basically means the game object it's associated with. So this, when I click this, it means this sphere. Okay? So this dot. So in Unity, if you want to access like some subcomponent of an object, you have to use dots. That's how the syntax works. So this dot transform. Actually, let's call this game object. Sorry. Okay, this dot game object transform. Okay, a couple of things here. So when I click this, I access the current script. Game objects access the sphere. Okay. Transform. So let me type this down here. This is this script. Game object is basically the sphere associated, the sphere linked to the script. Transform is the coordinates of the sphere. Okay? So right now what I'm doing is I'm accessing the specific coordinates of the sphere. What I want to do, and I can make this larger, what I want to do is I want to, maybe even larger, I want to move the sphere every time I click. Okay, vector free. Let me see if I can make this a bit more legible. Okay. So see, I still have errors here. Let's see what it complains. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to change the coordinates of the sphere. Okay. So let's just type something like this. Now, see if this works. So sometimes you have errors like I have right here. So all I want to do is I want to change the coordinates of the object. So sometimes Unity kind of gives me fixes. So I click on it, it tells me property or indexer cannot be assigned to its read only. So show potential fixes, remove this. Okay, I still have an error. So let's see how can I deal with it. Yes, I forgot. Okay. So again, transform, I kind of was a little bit lying to you. So transform is coordinates plus rotation. plus scaling whatever of the sphere. So transform has a couple of different components. So let's call it the position. Okay. Okay, so let's see if this works. Okay. So right now I kind of did a very silly thing. Every time I right click on the sphere, it will move it to this coordinate, 1, 1, 1. Let's see if it works. So the sphere click works. Right clicking doesn't work. Maybe I don't know how to right click. Let me just, for the debugging purposes, let's change this to be 1, and let's just kind of annul this for now. It's false, and let's just remove this code for now. Okay, see that? So every time I play and left click on the sphere, it will just jump into this coordinate. Okay. Now, anyone can tell me how can I just move it a little bit, not actually assign it a new place? What is the way to do that? Right now I'm just assigning it a new vector. How can I just move it a little bit every time I left click? Yeah.
Can you use like plus equals?
Yeah, plus equals, right? So you said plus equals. So plus equals, let me just simplify it for a couple of people here. Basically, I'm just using the old position, but let's add like a small number every time I left click. Okay. And let's click play, see that this works. See, so every time I click, it's gonna move away kind of slowly.
Wait, go back to the code.
Yeah, sure. You know, this is gonna be online later on, so,
I know.
but yeah. Okay. Any questions so far? All we're doing is we're just kind of playing around with the sphere, getting it to move, getting it to print stuff. Okay, yeah. Also, let me show you how you can actually print this. Like you can put debug log, and then you can just put this in this function and see what it will print. So it's supposed to print the position of the sphere, like that. So you can actually see it on screen every time you're gonna change the position, which will happen here because we're gonna click. Let's see how this works. Okay, and let's open console, and here you can see that it kind of changes the position every time we click on the sphere. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. Any questions on this? Okay, let's stop this and see what else I can tell you about. Okay, so what we did, we kind of just pasted this here. But there's other ways to do it. So you can do game object, transform position to string. So many of these entities in Unity have a toString function. So toString basically returns a string of whatever this object, whatever the data this object contains. So so I can actually do it this way. It will probably return me the same result, but we can just check. Because Unity kind of is smart, it already knows that if I'm printing this data, it will know that, okay, I'm just requesting it to be printed out, whatever. So it already probably does this in somehow inside it's being smart. But I can just tell it to do it like kind of explicitly. And let's see, it should kind of, this should just result in the same thing. Yeah, it's the same thing. You can see it just prints twice now, the coordinates. But why is this useful? Well, sometimes you would want to kind of get the coordinate system and say put it like somewhere on your UI so other people can see. Okay. Let's call this void to avoid confusion. So by the way, don't use private void, use void. That'll make it easier. Yep.
Just real quick, the comment in the code where plus is rotation and plus is scaling of the sphere, what's the difference between?
No, so it says transform includes one position, two rotation, three scaling of the sphere. Okay. Okay, that's a good comment. Okay, any other questions? Yeah.
How is position loaded is it by XYZ or?
Oh, so you can actually see the position here. It's XYZ. So you have position, rotation, and scale having XYZ. There is like another way to look at rotation. It's called quaternions, but we're not talking about that yet. Right now we just pretend it's just only XYZ. Any other questions? Okay. Okay, so let's go back here. So how can we implement drag? Okay, so that's a question for you. Or like, kind of like, I want to say I'm kind of clicking on the sphere, and I have to click, actually explicitly click all the time to get it to move. How can I just have my my finger down and just have it move while I'm actually having my finger down? Is there any idea on how we can do that? Right now, just like I have to actually physically click. It's kind of annoying. Any ideas on how we can actually get it to move while I'm clicking? Yeah.
Use a while loop.
Some sort of while loop, okay. Any other ideas? Well, maybe I should like introduce you to this function. Let's call this void on mouse up, okay? So let's just add a debug here right now. Debug log mouse button released. Okay. And had like call this debug. Mouse down. Oh, let's just make it simple. Mouse down, mouse up. And I forgot a semicolon here, and then it should work. Okay, so when I click, it says mouse down, but when I release my mouse, it will show me mouse up. Okay, again, I click, it says mouse down, but when I release, it will show me again mouse down. Now it doesn't should not collapse like there. Okay, so I get like mouse down and then mouse up. So I can probably use these, so I know when my mouse is down and I know when I'm up. So I can probably use those change on events to have my sphere move whilst my mouse is down, right? How can I do that? Any ideas? Yeah.
Changing get mouse button down to get mouse button.
Changing this to is not no. I don't. How that would work? Not sure. No. Maybe I don't follow you right. Any other ideas? Anyway, like you can I need to show you something else right now, but the way to do it is to use these two functions. Basically, once you have mouse down, you can do things that will happen until mouse is up. Okay, we'll kind of I'll show you that in a second for a different kind of workflow. So that's also useful for dragging, by the way. Okay, so maybe this is the time to show you how to actually create new spheres. Let's try to do that. So let's go back to the code here. I'm gonna comment this, so we don't need this anymore. Okay. Or before that, something very important. Actually, we can leave this. Sorry to confuse you. Let's leave this. Let me show you now how to use a game object that actually is not really there. It's invisible. So go here in my left side sample scene, right click, and click create empty. Okay, and let's call this the click manager. It's a very pompous name, but click manager. Okay, so you can see this object is not really visible. It's just like an empty game object, but we're going to use it for kind of doing a lot of script operations. Let's now create also a new script. Paint. Let's call this painting. Okay. And I'm gonna move my painting script to my click manager. Okay. So now I have my click manager, and I have a painting script, and this script is empty because I didn't do anything yet with it. And this script, all it does, it just doesn't do anything right now. It just associates with that click manager, which is an empty. An empty is like a game object that doesn't really have any physical appearance, but you can use it for scripting or other things. Okay. So in this painting script, which is a new script, it's not the old script. Let's use the same function. Now you can just copy your old code, void on mouse down. You can just copy it here. And what I want to do is, if I have, say, again, a left click, so I can just copy this code. Again, like a lot of programmers, you don't have to type everything. You can just copy things and put them, kind of reuse them as you want. And what I would like to do now is I want to create a new game object. Okay, so let's see how we can do that. So let's just show you. Let's see if this is okay. So to create a game object, so what I want to do is basically I want to click anywhere here on the screen, and I want a sphere to pop up. That's what I want to do. To do that, I created this new script called painting, and I attached it to an empty game object that's called click manager. So here, I just copied the code from my previous script here, but and nothing else. I didn't add anything else. So I can add a sphere. Let's just type game object. Let's call this spawn equals game object create primitive. Okay, so I want to create a new game object. Right now I'm just calling it spawn. The name doesn't really matter. So Unity has these built-in methods to allow you to create like new game objects, new primitives. So right now I want to create a sphere. So I typed gameObject.createPrimitive. And here I want it to be a sphere. So let's see primitive type dot sphere. Okay. Okay. Let's see if I can. Maybe just move it like that. Okay, so I created this game object, but let's see if I play it and if anything happens. I'm not sure if anything will happen. I just created a game object, but I'm not sure if it will do anything interesting. Let's see where my current sphere is actually. Let's just move it a little bit there. So like that. And I'm gonna click play. Okay, so nothing really much is happening. Even if I'm clicking. If I'm clicking on the sphere, that everything is fine as usual, but here nothing really much is happening. Okay, why is nothing happening? I have a bug here. Any idea what the bug is?
Maybe new game object, dot create primitive. Would be fine.
It's not created, yeah, but why is that not happening? Yeah.
Do you have to associate the script to an...
It's associate. Yeah, what's the problem? Yeah.
Well, isn't that the problem? You have to put the script...
No, it is associated. It's already associated. It's already here.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have like a, but it's an easy bug. So what is the bug here in this code? Let's go look at on mouse down. So on mouse down is called when the user has pressed the mouse button while over the element. Okay? So when I have my sphere, this only works on mouse down while I'm over my sphere. If I'm not over the sphere, it doesn't do anything. Right now, though, I have this empty object. It doesn't really have any existence. So since it doesn't have any existence, kind of physically in this virtual kind of space, I cannot click on it ever because it doesn't have any body there. So that's why this function will never work because I cannot click on it. This function only works if you click on that object. So so this is like just a bad function to use if I'm using this kind of empty game object. So, and maybe we can try moving this here. Okay. And see if this works. So on mouse down, we said it's kind of bad because it will never trigger in this case. because an empty game object doesn't have any body. Even an on mouse down expects you to click on an actual body of the object. So let's see if this works right now. Okay, and this actually works. I can see the sphere being created. See, I clicked play, and I can create spheres. So I can create as many spheres as I want, and you can see them here. The problem is that they're all in the same spot, right? That's kind of silly and boring. And I would like to change that in a bit. But you can see the new sphere here. Actually, let me move this. And I can create many, many spheres. Okay, so now let's try to have this actually create spheres not like that are not like centered in the middle, but kind of are basically where we click. So if I click here, I want a sphere to be created there. And if I click here, I want a sphere to be created there. Okay, so before that, any questions? We have to finish up in like 10 minutes, so good opportunity for questions right now. Okay. So let's just vector free click position. Okay, let's just try to create a place where to put the sphere. So vector click. I'm calling this. So this is like a variable which I'm going to use to assign the sphere that I'm creating there. And I can kind of hand code it to be whatever, right? I can hand code it to be like say 5, 3, 2, but that's not really what I want. It's just gonna put the sphere into this specific spot all the time. And to do that, like I'll spawn. We're just gonna do the same thing from before. Spawn, position. So notice spawn is already a game object, so I can access its position using the same thing we did before. So it's spawn.transform.position equals, and then this position. Okay. And then when I'm clicking anywhere, it's just going to create all the spheres in this position. Again, let me show this again. So what did I do? I create a new variable here, and when I have this, and for this spawn game object that I just created, I'm just going to assign its position to be click position. Right now, click position is just like this silly vector that doesn't change, but I want to actually change it to be dynamic based on where I click. So let's do that. Let's kind of comment this and show you a couple of new things and how that will work. So let's do, and this is going to be something new. So camera dot screen to world, camera dot main, and this is like a bunch of new code that you didn't see before. Screen to world point. Input, and this is going to be a bit long. Input mouse position plus, okay. Well, let's just leave it like this for now and see what happens. So what this code is doing is basically it's latching onto the camera, my main camera, and finding which point it is in the world. So if I'm clicking here, it will kind of try to understand what point that is, and it will create a new vector free position based on that. So let's see how that works. Okay, so I'm clicking and I have things being created, but I don't actually see them. Why is that? Why can I not see the spheres? Yeah.
Spawning the camera, so you
Yeah.
sphere.
Yeah, so it's probably spawning somewhere where I don't want it to be spawned, right? So you can see here on the left-hand side, if you look at the camera here, it's spawning right on top of the camera. So it's kind of like blocking. I cannot really see it. So the thing to do is kind of to push this sphere I'm creating kind of away from the camera, right? A little bit. And let's try to do that. So let's just add like another vector here to do that. Plus new vector 3, 0, 0, and 5f. Let's see if this works. So I'm just going to push it away on a specific axis. Okay, good. This works. So now I can actually paint spheres.
I see the code again.
Right, sure, yeah.
Thank you.
So what we did, we kind of grabbed where the camera is in the universe, and we're based on and like put on top of it the mouse position, so it knows where our mouse is, and then added like another, kind of pushed it back from the camera, so it's not painting right on top of the camera, and then it can just paint a sphere like that. Okay, let me kind of push it a bit more back. So I still have to click. We still didn't sort this. We still don't have this functionality of kind of like while I'm putting my mouse down, I want it to actually print, but it kind of works a lot better, right? So we ran out of time for today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put whatever we did today on, if the recording is working, I'm going to put it on the canvas. And on canvas, I'm going to have another extended module that you'll have to go over at home, which does more advanced
Can I
stuff.
take a picture of the code?
Yeah, sure, yeah. It's going to be also on canvas.